if I tilt my camera like right over here, it's so funny. Actually, I'm gonna do it. There is a Barbie house and Hot Wheels Matchbox like car garage right
Yeah, yeah.
there. And we just talked about how Mattel owns Barbie. They made that, and Mattel owns Matchbox, and they're doing that. And look at the toys in my basement right now. So this is going to make a lot of money. It's going to be very successful for John Cena. It's going to be a lot of fun. Kids are going to watch it. My son is probably going to lose his mind. Lacey, next year, I hope you have your Kleenexes handy, because if there's any indication from David Harbour, might be some waterworks by the finale of Stranger Things. But we'll get to that in a bit. Welcome everybody to Nerdy and Nice, our 20th episode of the podcast. 20 came quickly. But I'm John. Thank you for joining us. Lacey is obviously here as always. Lacey, let's just get to it. What is Moodang?
I was waiting to see how you were going to intro this. So, one of the things I've said to John is on this podcast, we should try to also mention things that are just trending in pop culture online on social media. And the big thing that's been trending for the past week or so has been Moodang. And I said to John, like, oh, haven't you seen the baby hippo? And he was like, what are you talking about? So Moodang is a hippo that was born in a zoo that people have become obsessed with because the baby hippo is like afraid of water. It's very skittish. It has like very emotional reactions to things. So people have the ability to like screenshot the videos and use them for reaction memes, or people have been putting them into kind of like movie posters, which the one I sent you was Spider-Man, where he's like, everywhere I see him, and it pans up to the billboard and it's Moodang and not Tony Stark, like stuff like that. It was just a weird kind of wholesome animal story that's turned into this bigger thing because he's just, people feel he's so relatable because, all right, it might be a she actually. Is so relatable, but just because of the reactions to things. I think my favorite one so far that I've seen has been Ash Ketchum from Pokemon is in like some type of battle arena and he's like, go Moodang, and he's like pointing out, and then someone drew in Moodang is like an anime like hippo being like all scared and nervous and crying. Yeah, it was just funny, but it's just a prime example of like stuff that I say to John and he's like, what are you talking about? And it makes me feel like I'm just online too much.
Well,
Or I've curated a weird feed. One or the other.
yeah, I'm not as maybe dialed in to that type of stuff as I used to be, but I'm usually at least aware of things, and I guess I've seen these images of this baby hippo and stuff and just scrolled past it because these things are human killing machines.
It's a pygmy hippo, though. It's smaller. Like,
It
even
might
the
be big.
mom is smaller.
Yeah, but it could
It's
probably still bite
no,
my head off.
could it still potentially hurt you? Yes. But,
Mhm.
like, the zookeeper's in the thing with the baby and the mom at the same time, and the mom doesn't even care. Mom's just chilling.
Just like those people swimming with the killer whales at SeaWorld. Saw how that story ended.
Alright. Well, maybe we should just keep on moving then and see what's happening.
Let's do it.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Enough, I get the point.
All right, lots of pop culture, TV, movie news this week, which first of all, we didn't mention the Emmys in here. Probably should mention that happened. And The Bear won everything, which you had said. And surprisingly, I was also right because Shogun also won everything. But I remember you and I had a huge conversation about whether The Bear was a comedy because it's in that category. And that was one of the popular kind of social media quick videos that all the press were recording. Is they were asking actors, "Do you think The Bear is a comedy?"
Yeah, it's not. It's, and I made the joke online that in the 1989 Grammy Awards,
Mhm.
Metallica was up for Best Metal Performance, and the band Jethro Tull won it. And
Really?
Jethro Tull is a band
I know
that
who
has,
Jethro
like,
Tull. I know.
like a lead fife player and
Yeah.
stuff.
I mean, they
beat
are pretty.
Metallica.
They're pretty badass.
So then 2 years later, when Metallica finally won it for the Black Album, the first thing they did was they thanked Jethro Tull for not putting an album out, which I thought was funny. But this is sort of the same type of situation, in my opinion.
It is very interesting that that's what they chose, but I guess you watched the show. Is it listed as a dark comedy?
No, it is a very tense, stressful drama
Then why do they list
through
that?
and
I still
through.
don't get it. I don't understand because it's up against like Only Murders in the Building, which is a strict comedy.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a play because they felt like that was a better path to victory going against whatever dramas are out, but I will say I called it with John Bernthal.
You
I
did.
remember
He won.
saying like he's going to get nominated and he should win for this episode that he did where he sort of has that one-on-one moment with what's her name?
Jamie Lee Curtis won too.
Yeah. So I was very happy to see that he won because I am a big John Bernthal fan. And I feel like he is severely underrated. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a big awards person. The Emmys came, they went. A lot of things won awards. I think Curb went out with a bang and won some awards, and The Bear definitely cleaned house. And there were a lot of other great honors as well. But I don't have much else. Do you? Emmys?
I was just going to say, I personally thought that it showed that the type of people they should have hosting the events are like Dan Levy and Eugene Levy, Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez, who came on stage a couple times. Like they just killed it with their kind of awkward, quick wit humor. The whole bit with Dan Levy and Eugene Levy in the audience where they were separated by like a whole aisle and they're like far away trying to talk to each other. I was straight up laughing out loud to that. So I hope other award shows take note and start actually hiring funny people for their award shows. I know that the Oscars has kind of steered clear of having hosts in later years because of what happened with, I think, Will
Warren
Smith
Beatty.
and then Warren Beatty, and then Jimmy Kimmel's kind of been like, I don't really know if I want to do this anymore. So we'll see what they do. But I think that the three of the Martin Short, Steve Martin, and Selena Gomez should do the Oscars. I think that would be great. The only thing is she's front running right now to win supporting actress. They say right now the short list for her is her, Ariana Grande for Wicked, and Lady Gaga for Joker.
What is Selena Gomez up for?
She's up for this movie called, I believe, Emily, which is on Netflix. I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check so I don't speak out of turn. Amelia Perez. I'm sorry. I've been in very Emily in Paris mode, so I just assumed it was Emily. Amelia Perez. It's selected as like France's entry for the 2025 Academy Award. She's set to do Oscar campaigns. But yeah, she could be up for an Oscar this year, which people are saying is a high. She's like the front runner right now.
All right.
But she will be up against Ariana Grande and Lady Gaga, supposedly.
Gaga's got it.
We will see. But getting into what you had kind of brought up, teased at the top, is other things coming to an end, is Stranger Things. They're finishing up Stranger Things 5. It's been a long, I can't believe it, decade of this show. Absolutely wild. But David Harbour had some lovely details to share about their final table read for the final episode. And he called it very beautiful. He said, we just read, I think he's kind of stuttering here. We just did a read through of the last episode, and the amount of crying. I've never seen so much heavy weeping from teenagers or young adults in my life, which is really heartbreaking, bittersweet, heartfelt, but at the same time you feel for them because they came on this set when they were, I want to say babies. I know they weren't, but they were little kids. This is their childhood. This is their adolescence, is like on camera, them growing up behind the scenes of Stranger Things while also being on camera. Like Millie Bobby Brown is married, like she's ready to move on. What are your thoughts, John? Does this make you sad? Are you gonna cry at the end of Stranger Things?
I don't know. That's a good question. It's possible. It depends on what they do. I have a feeling I already know how the show's going to end, though. I feel like the one thing they can't do, which I've said for a long time, is they're back in the basement and they're little kids again, and it was all like a dream. They fell asleep playing Dungeons and Dragons, and they woke up, and that would be the worst. And then they do a thing at the very last frame to show you that maybe it wasn't a dream, and then that's over.
Oh,
Like,
geez. Yeah, I
that would
hate that.
kill me. So I'm hoping they don't do that. But I think 11 has to die, and I think
It's
no,
always death with you. It is. It is always death
it
with you.
isn't. Look at the patterns of this show. She is the yin to Vecna's yang, and she's like
Mm.
his, like what can vanquish him. But I think the only way he can be fully erased is if she is too. And they alluded to that a bit. I think it was the first season where she does something to save Mike, or was the second season
She
again?
bans him back into the upside down. She pushes him back in, basically.
Yeah, but in like the first season when she defeats like the Demogorgon, she like almost died too or whatever. And there's always those like, oh, we thought something was gonna happen with her, and she winds up they save her and she gets out of it. I just feel like it's gonna end up being the boys again. And I think all the boys are gonna be okay, even Will, and they'll have a happy ending that way. But I just feel like, especially with how vocal Millie Bobby Brown is about how she's like over it and she's ready to move on. It's like it was so much of my life. I don't think there's any plans for her to ever come back. I'm not saying they have plans to come back, but to me, that's just the logical conclusion. Vecna's going to die, and at her hand via a sacrifice. And she's going to tell Mike how much she loves him and all that stuff. And that's where all the weeping is going to be, I think. So we'll see. I could be wrong. I would have no problem if everybody lived and the skies turned blue from red, and all the tunes came out of the wall from Toontown, and everyone had a great time. But we'll see. But I'm not surprised to read this. It's probably double meaning, where they're crying because they realize it's over, but they're also crying because of the weight of whatever is happening in the story. It doesn't give a lot. But David Harbour doesn't seem like the type of guy to mince words or say things that aren't real. So I'm it's like I've been saying about Squid Game and stuff. Like, I'm gonna be there when this thing comes out, and I'm gonna binge the hell out of it that weekend it comes out, and probably, hopefully, love every minute of it, because season 4 reinvigorated my enjoyment for the show off of a season 3 I didn't like very much, and I thought season 4 was their best yet. So this is one of those shows that has a chance to go out on top with their best. And when you have people like Sean Levy still involved, and there's so much talent, and the sets they build for this show, everything that goes into the show is clearly done with passion and care and a lot of hard work. So I think they know, like, we got to top what we just did last season.
Yeah.
And with what's the guy who plays Vecna's name? Bauer, Jamie Bauer.
Yeah.
What he added to this show, I can't wait to see where he goes, because he even alluded to like, oh, you just wait, So I'm very excited. I hope we, maybe get some teasers or something coming up, because I assume it's going to come out in the summer next year. I don't know. They've been all over the place with Stranger Things, because the first one came out around Halloween, I think, and then they did summer
The
releases.
second one did Halloween because they were wearing Ghostbusters outfits.
Oh, right. Yep.
First one was summer. No, the first one dropped randomly. I feel like it was springtime. Like, it was one of the things that, like, they didn't know if it was going to be a hit or not. And then it kind of spread by word of mouth, and then became a hit. So then it became Halloween because they did Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Then they did the third one was the 4th of July weekend because they do the whole carnival thing.
Yeah.
And it was like the summer. He was like the lifeguard at the pool. Billy was.
Yep.
And then the following one was kind of like, was it fall, winter?
I think that was summer. No, that was spring, summer. They didn't split it in 2 parts. It was like June, July.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, I mean, the thing that sticks out to me in this quote from David Harbour is that he said, "I've never seen so much heavy, heavy weeping from teenagers or young adults." So that's why I feel like it is, unfortunately, I don't agree with this, but one of the kids does die.
So you just gave me all ah.
Oh no. You okay?
Like a funny bone. There's nothing funny about it.
No.
I just hit my arm on my mic. Sorry. But you just gave me all that guff about like it's always something with you with the death, and then you're like, I think someone's gonna die.
Because you just did on TRB that you never, like you didn't say so and so would die. That's not you. You wouldn't do that. And I said I wouldn't do that. And then you're always the person that says people are going to die.
And usually they do.
No. All
Ben
right.
Solo dead.
Okay. Anyway, it is very heartbreaking. I can only imagine that it feels kind of like last day of school when you're in senior year of high school or something. You're never going to see these people, most of the people again. It's probably a little sad. I'm interested to see what they do with it. Sean Levy's back on board to direct a couple episodes, I believe. And I trust his judgment because he did amazing work in the last season. Plus, Duffer Brothers are just great. And I think that they've had a very clear vision from the beginning of what this show is going to be. And they've stuck by that, whether you liked it or not. And I appreciate that because there were moments that I was like, oh, I don't really like this, or like this storyline made no sense, but that's what they wanted to do. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. Oh, yep.
Do you know, I think I know what the final shot of the show is going to be.
It's probably going to be the kids together doing something, riding their bikes or something, or having a sleepover downstairs in Mike's basement.
Little final montage thing where they show what everybody's doing now, and then
like an epilogue.
Okay. What's the cop's name? Harbour's character. I forget his name.
Hopper.
Yeah, Hopper is going to end up like marrying Will's mom and becoming his stepdad. And then everyone's going to show like everyone's okay and everything's fine, but the last shot is going to be like Hopper opening his freezer, and you're going to see like a box of Eggos in there, and he's going to look at it and feel sad. He's going to close the freezer, and then he's going to open it the next morning, and it's going to be gone. End of Stranger Things. And then it's going to leave you with like, oh, does that mean Eleven's alive? Or maybe Will was just, a little stoned and hungry in the middle of the night or something.
Maybe. I just thought of the shot, which I haven't thought in a while. I don't know why it just popped in my head. It's funny how things happen like that. But the shot in season 2, or is it season 1, where Will's standing at the bathroom sink and he coughs up that slug.
Oh.
Do you remember that?
At the end of season 1, I think.
Yeah, I just remembered that, and I was like, oh my God. And he looks up in the mirror, and I think he sees it upside down.
He like grabs his neck and he sees the upside down. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Anyway. Our next bit or piece of the episode is something that caught my eye online that I didn't even know was a thing, which is awesome because I want to go here so bad. Like, I think we both do want to go here so bad. So South Park creators, they have a new documentary. That's Trey Parker and Matt Stone have a new documentary, Casa Bonita Mi Amor, about their purchase and costly renovation of Casa Bonita in select theaters coming to Paramount Plus this fall. It currently has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes and an 8.8 on IMDb. For those of you that don't know, there is a restaurant called Casa Bonita. It's outside of Denver. It is a Mexican restaurant that has cliff diving in it. Like there's a whole waterfall and a pool and cliffs, and people like cliff dive from this like overhang into the pool. They do like diving shows
like while you're eating,
and there's like an arcade, and there's it's like a whole experience. Currently right now, since it's reopened, because they were closing it down, so the South Park guys, who are worth
saved it
so much money, like they think they just signed a contract, what was it, $900 million for like 10 more seasons of South Park,
with a lot more South Park and movies.
Paramount, I think.
Yeah.
So they grew up around there. And so they bought it and renovated it, and they clearly recorded a documentary about it. But our friend of the show, Clayton Sandell, actually went there, and he said it was awesome. And he said the food was pretty good. Right? Remember? He said he went there.
Yes, yeah. I think
So I want to go so bad, but right now it's really hard to get a reservation. Like you have to basically put your name in and just cross your fingers and hope it happens. So people like us that are really far away from it, it's basically like, when will we ever get a reservation? It probably
Right.
happened never, but I would love to go there. But in the meantime, I saw this tweet and immediately sent it to John and was like, oh my God, we have to watch this because it
Yeah.
just seems right up both our alleys, especially our whole conversation with Clayton. And just both of us loving the guys that do South Park. It just seems like it would be really, really hilarious.
Oh my
What
God.
are your thoughts? Are you pumped for this movie?
I don't know if this is something I knew about and like forgot about because I feel like such a bad fan because I love these guys so much.
I
Um,
never heard of this, to be honest.
you know what? Also, kind of like I haven't watched a lot of the recent South Park because I don't have cable, so
Mhm.
I can't watch it on Comedy Central, and I don't have Paramount Plus. And I know sometimes they put them on Max, but it's not the current season, so I'm having a hard time keeping up with South Park, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Um, but I still love these guys so much, and I'm glad they're still making South Park. I want to catch up on that. Uh, definitely would love to go to Casa Bonita and check that out after what Clayton had said and all the videos and images you see, and the fact that these guys just like saved it. Because they're basically just like
We
we
have
can't just
money.
let Casa Bonita die. Yeah, because I think they're either both from Colorado or just Trey
They
is.
are both.
Yeah,
I think they both are.
and I think that's a really cool thing. And the fact that it's getting all these rave reviews already and stuff
Yeah.
is good to see. And not for nothing, the type of humor they do is toilet humor and vulgar humor and stuff. But like Trey Parker is like a brilliant writer, and
Mhm.
he's a great director too. He knows how to tell his stories, and with him and Matt Stone obviously controlling every aspect of this documentary because that's how those guys roll. Even when they did Basketball, they weren't the credited writers. You watch that movie, all of their stuff is in there. They
I
improv
love
so much stuff.
basketball. Yeah.
So they like to run their own ship, and I have just zero doubts that this is going to be great. I think this is going to be an awesome documentary. I think it's going to be one of those documentaries I watch it and wish it was twice as long. I can't get enough
Mhm.
of these guys, and especially if you ever watch, if you seen you've seen the 6 days to air thing
No,
that they did for South Park. It was like
I have
how
not.
they make an episode, and you watch it because it is so funny and so amazing that these guys are writing up the story, and Bill Hader was helping them write at the time. And Bill Hader is one of the funniest guys in
Mhm.
Hollywood, in movies, and he is hurting himself laughing at what these guys are throwing at him, and that just shows how good they are. So just by knowing how good that documentary was, again, watch it. It's called 6 days to air. It was showing how they make a South Park episode, how stressful it is, and the time frame and stuff. This is going to be a bigger version of that. I can't wait. This is going to be one of the tops of my list to watch this year. I'm more excited to watch this than Squid Game. So
Are you really?
yeah,
This is on my top 5, but Squid Game's definitely number
these
1.
guys, yeah,
Reading this NPR article about it, it's kinda interesting that this restaurant's from the 1970s. It's an inauthentic version of 19th century Mexico. I love how they have to clarify that. They're like, "This is not legit Mexico. This is definitely something ridiculous." But they had originally budgeted for this restaurant to take $6 million to redo it, and they called it a dilapidated death trap in which everything, electricity, plumbing, air conditioning, had to be redone. Throughout this documentary, it balloons to an estimated $20 million plus. So, that's when you just have money. Like, when you're them and you just have bank that you're like, "Sure, why not?" Um, but yeah, gosh, I don't know how we're gonna do it, but we gotta do this. We gotta go there in the next year. I don't know how we have to do it. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna go, and we're gonna have a great time at Casa Bonita.
we're gonna be like Clayton, coming to see you.
Casa Bonita.
Yeah,
Um, Another thing making its way back, not just Casa Bonita, HBO's Harry Potter series, the remake of the very popular movies, is set for late 2026, early 2027 release, and casting is underway for Harry, Ron, and Hermione. But I guess they're saying Gary Oldman said he could return. I could do Dumbledore is what he's saying to the press, which I find that that's a new thing, by the way, that all these celebrities tend to do. They're like, oh, I would love to be a part of that project. Oh, the fans want it. So do I. It's like so weird. It's like people are constantly campaigning for
Yeah.
their space. I am a big Harry Potter fan. I'm not a big J.K. Rowling fan. She kind of sucks, but Harry Potter is great. And I grew up on it. I remember fondly going to Borders and waiting up till midnight for the books. I remember specifically a vacation in high school where I think it was the 5th book came out, and I would read a couple chapters and then I would give it to my little sister and she'd read a couple chapters and then she'd give it back to me and I'd read a couple chapters. Like we were splitting time with this book because we were so excited to read it. It's just one of the great stories of pop culture of our time that it's one of the
Sure.
things I look forward to sharing with my children when they get old enough.
Oh, definitely.
Like
Yeah.
when they get around that, age 11 where they get their Hogwarts letter, I can't wait to share this story with them because it's just one of those things that really was such a good book. I remember I read Chamber of Secrets out loud, the entire book, to my mom and my sister. Like I love Chamber of Secrets. Which I know everybody likes Prisoner of Azkaban. I get it. But I liked Prisoner.
I like the first one.
Chamber of Secrets too. Yeah, the first one's great. Really, really good. It's like that one's just so, I don't know. It's funny because it was directed by Christopher Columbus,
Right.
who's known for like Doubtfire. I believe he did Home Alone. Didn't he do Home Alone too?
Yep.
So he has that and Hook. He has that kind of family feel about him that it was a no-brainer that he did the first Harry Potter. So when I think of that, it's just such a lovely kind of perfect family movie. It has a little bit of scary.
He did the first two, I think, right?
Did he? Yes. And then they switched to someone else, David Yates, for the third one. I think. Yeah. Or was it someone else? I'm sorry. I think David Yates did the later ones. Anyway, so I don't know how I feel about the remake series. It makes me feel old because I feel like these movies weren't that long ago. But are you excited about this? Francesca Gardiner, who does Succession, Killing Eve, His Dark Materials, will be the showrunner. So clearly someone with more of a dark view of her TV shows and products, IPs that she's working on. Does that worry you? Are you excited for this? Who do you hope to see in it? What are your thoughts?
I'm gonna watch it. I'll definitely watch it. They make the movies, then they make books based off of those, and then they're gonna remake it. So
you mean the books came first?
They did?
The books came first.
Oh. I thought they were movies and they made books out of them.
Books, then movies. Are you joking?
Yes.
Oh, then why did you say it that way?
I always do that bit all the time.
Okay.
Come on. No, I'll watch it. I'm a little not worried about whoever gets cast, but these kids are going to get compared to the originals and they're going to deal with flack, and that's going to be tough. And then they're going to be in the situation where if it's not a success, they're going to be blamed because they're not Daniel Radcliffe and stuff. And that's probably going to come. But if it is a success, then there's the stigma of, what we're just talking about with the Stranger Things things, where it's like, I don't want to be known as this. I don't want to be known as that. And it looks like everyone who was in Harry Potter, at least like the main actors, have gone on and have been able to step away from it. Emma Watson's had a great career. Daniel Radcliffe has certainly gone in completely different directions. But I feel like these HBO makes good TV shows. That's the thing. Like Game of Thrones is the biggest television show ever made. And so you don't have to worry about budget with this. Like, if it was on Disney Plus, I'd be like, I don't know about that. But HBO does They were the first. They were the first ones. They were the ones doing these big shows. They do it the best still, I think, and so I think it's the right studio. Obviously, Max has affiliations with Warner anyway, which distributed the first Harry Potter movies. So I will check it out. I'm curious how they're going to tell it differently because they're going to have more. Each season is probably going to be a book, I assume. So they're going to be able to really stretch things out, and you're going to see scenes from the book that they didn't do in the original movies because they had to keep it 2 hours, 10 minutes or whatever. Where now it's like 50-minute episodes, 10 episodes. Then you're talking about a lot of time, so they can probably tell more of the book stuff. And for people who did read the books like yourself, maybe that's something that might spark your interest because you're like, oh, they didn't do that in the movie, but they just did that here. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with it. Again, I'm hesitant only because I'm a big Harry Potter fan and I grew up with it, so I have my own expectations, just like any other fandom. So we'll see what they do with it. But I'm optimistic. Sure.
Would is them remaking Harry Potter the same feeling for you if Star Wars was ever remade? Is like the Harry Potter movies, are they that sacred where you're like, it's hard for me to process the remake? You know what I mean?
I would say Star Wars would be worse.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, completely. But given that that's never going to happen, I'm watching this happen and I'm going, because they tried to capitalize on that nostalgia of Harry Potter with that Broadway play that they did. I forget what the book is called. Harry
Cursed
Potter and
Child?
the Cursed Child. Yeah. So I bought the book for that. It's sitting somewhere. I never read it because someone kind of spoiled it for me a little bit of what it's about. And I couldn't bring myself to follow through on it because I was like, that annoys me. That story annoys me. If you don't care, I'll tell you what the story is, but I
am trying to Google it. It has really great reviews. J.K. Rowling was involved in it?
Yeah, she was involved. She wrote the story, I guess.
So
it's about Harry's kids.
Yeah.
So,
okay. All right.
Are you ever going to read it? Do you care?
Well, are they going to make a movie of it one day? Probably, right?
I don't know. Maybe.
Don't tell me.
Okay. I do worry about who they cast as the main characters, as you brought up, Harry, Hermione, and Ron. I know with the Broadway play, they did make Hermione black. So I'm interested to see if they follow through with that with the new series to be consistent with what the description of Hermione was, that, you know, they did one choice for the movie and then one choice for the play, Broadway
what
play.
Was she in the books?
Emma Watson.
In the book, she looked like how Emma Watson looks?
In the books, they just describe her as a girl with brown curly hair.
Yeah.
Well. So it could be anything. It was open to interpretation.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care either way. I worry for the children that are put in that perspective of people that do care, that are crazy, that will, you know, go out of their way to make their experience bad. I hope we live in a world that's not the case, but we've seen it happen before. We were just talking about Star Wars. We saw it happen with Star Wars with child actors. So I just hope that they have a good environment, they're protected, and that people tone it down and remember that these are kids.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of kids, the next story is interesting because it's coming off of the success of Barbie, where these toy companies took the wrong lesson from Barbie of, hey, maybe let people do their own things and do really good marketing and have fun. They said, oh, so you want movies about all these toys. Got it. And everyone was like, no, hold on, wait, that's not what we said. They have announced that they're going to have John Cena star in a Matchbox movie from Sam Hargrave, Skydance, Mattel Films, and Apple. Apple's making this movie. So the movie, inspired by Mattel's iconic real-world die-cast toy vehicle line, will be based on a screenplay by David Coggeshall and Jonathan Troper. So the iconic brand was invented in 1953, and now in 2024, they are casting John Cena. And I can't help but think, so Fast and the Furious, which John Cena's in, because that's what I'm thinking of when I see Matchbox. What are your first reactions, John?
Well, so Matchbox is owned by Mattel, which owns Barbie. So Mattel is just carving out their little universe. I like John Cena.
Me too.
Everything you hear about John Cena is that he's a good dude. He's granted the most Make-A-Wishes. He's coming back for a WWE farewell tour where he's going to like do a full year storyline to close his career.
He's a nice guy.
I don't know that he's the best actor in the world. So this probably is a good path right here for him. I don't know what to make of this. Like, I had Matchbox cars as a kid. I had Hot Wheels cars as a kid. I always felt like Hot Wheels was sort of the Coca-Cola and Matchbox was the Pepsi. And that's not to disparage Pepsi, because I'll have a Pepsi once in a while. I'm not a big soda drinker, but I'm not going to say like, oh, no Pepsi for me. Like at the restaurant, you order a Coke, they say, we only have Pepsi. If I'm sitting with someone who says no thanks, I'm sort of like, really? Just have the damn Pepsi, you know? So this is a live action, so it's going to be in the spirit of Barbie in that way, I guess, where it's like nothing makes sense. There's a toy world, and maybe there's a car toy world, and the Matchbox cars come into NASCAR or something like that. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's probably going to be zany, crazy. Kids are going to be able to go watch it. My son is like so into John Cena right now.
Oh, really?
He checked out a John Cena book from the library at school and brought it home.
Oh, that's really cute. Following
So
Dad's footsteps.
he's going to love this, because if I tilt my camera like right over here, it's so funny. Actually, I'm going to do it. There is a Barbie house and Hot Wheels Matchbox like car garage right there. And we just talked about how Mattel owns Barbie. They made that. And Mattel owns Matchbox, and they're doing that. And look at the toys in my basement right now. So this is going to make a lot of money. It's going to be very successful for John Cena. It's going to be a lot of fun. Kids are going to watch it. My son is probably going to lose his mind because he's into John Cena and he loves his little Matchbox Hot Wheels cars. Yeah.
That's really fun. And again, I'm not the audience for this, but I couldn't help but laugh a little bit because I was like, so Fast and the Furious, because that's basically what Fast and the Furious is. But I guess it's
but
tone it down a little bit for kids.
I'll probably take Johnny to the theaters to see this.
Yeah. Will you take him to the next movie?
No.
Which is Jennifer Lopez and Brett Goldstein are having an office romance at Netflix. So I guess you don't have to take him to the movies because it's on Netflix. So after delivering Netflix 2 hit movies in The Mother and Atlas, Jennifer Lopez is readying her next feature with the streamer, this time pairing with 2-time Ted Lasso Emmy winner Brett Goldstein for the irreverent romantic comedy Office Romance. There was a hot bidding war for this feature, and Netflix won it. Goldstein and Joe Kelly are co-writing the rom-com, which we hear from sources have several great character actor roles per Deadline. I love Brett Goldstein. He was great. He was my favorite person in Ted Lasso. Jennifer Lopez is fine. I mean, the most press she's getting lately is that will they, won't they, are they not with Ben Affleck? Like they were divorced, but then they were seen together again, and then they're not. I saw a funny tweet about it where someone was like, imagine being this couple and like their friends are probably so sick of them at this point.
Oh my God. Matt Damon's like, wait, Ben's coming over?
Yeah.
With Jen? Oh God.
I'm totally gonna watch this. I like Made in Manhattan with Jennifer Lopez. I like Wedding Planner with Matthew McConaughey and Jennifer Lopez. Rom-coms are my thing, and I'm gonna watch it and report back. Netflix has been doing a pretty good job at getting some good talent to do rom-coms, because I think that's a big gap in the market. The last real good rom-com we saw in the movie theaters, I think, was Anyone But You with Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell. Before that, I would argue Crazy Rich Asians was the big one that came out August.
I like that movie. Yeah,
came out 6 years ago, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think that was the real big. Both those movies made so much money, and it just shows you that like there's an audience there that loves these things. Date nights, family, some of them, not all of them. The Glenn Powell one I wouldn't show to your family. But some rom-coms are good for people, and I will be watching this. I can imagine that it's probably a situation where Jennifer Lopez is the boss and Brett Goldstein is not. And if that's the case, you're getting into the proposal territory with Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock. So I'm interested to see what the angle is with this, because you fall back into these same tropes, and sometimes it's like telling the same story again with different actors. And I hope that's not the case with this. And it seems like it's not, because Brett Goldstein he has his own podcast that talks about movies. He's on Ted Lasso. He seems like he's very in on like what makes a good story and or wants to have a good movie. And Jennifer Lopez, I'm sure, just signed on to be a part of a rom-com because they make her money, and she looked good for being Jennifer Lopez. So, John, I know you said you're probably not going to watch this. Are you going to watch it? What are your thoughts on it? Are you surprised Brett Goldstein is doing rom-coms? Because he's writing it. He's not just starring in it.
Yeah, he was a big part of the writing team for Ted Lasso, and I think he knows how to write romance, because there were some really good romantic angles in Ted Lasso.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, oh man, like he could have picked anyone else, because I like Brett Goldstein a lot. I think Jennifer Lopez is a despicable person. Because, and you know why? One, you can just tell by how she acts in public and like her quotes about certain things, but also anytime somebody who ever had to work with her or be a handler or be someone on a set, they never have anything nice to say about her. And it's just always the pattern. And it's like what people used to say about Ellen. And I would tell like my friends, be like, dude, Ellen, they're like, oh, Ellen's so funny. I'm like, Ellen is probably the biggest piece of garbage. And it comes out she sort of was. Now
Not
she's
sort
trying
of. She actually was.
yeah, now she's trying to do this whole, oh, I got canceled thing. It's like, all right, Ellen, just
Go away.
Yeah. But Jennifer Lopez, like, just such an unlikable person that I have zero interest in seeing her fall in love in a movie. None whatsoever. I didn't even like them when I thought she was a good person. I don't think she's that good of an actor. Doesn't bring a lot to the table for me. If you told me Brett Goldstein was writing and starring in a romantic comedy for Netflix, I'd be like, oh, I'm in. Gonna watch it. Beckinsale? Who's gonna be in it? Jennifer Lopez? I am out immediately. So and the fact that in this article they say Atlas was a hit, yeah, it was watched by a lot of people, and a lot of those people were probably scrolling on TikTok while they were watching it, so it got its 60 million views. And 19% of critics approved that movie, and audiences tanked it too. So just because people watched it Netflix while they were sharing stuff on Snapchat with each other or on TikTok or whatever the heck people are doing on their phones doesn't mean it was a good movie. The reason why this might be okay is Brett Goldstein's writing. I have nothing good to say about Jennifer Lopez. Just look up what people have to say about her, how she treats people that are below her. It doesn't interest me at all. I have no interest in helping her career. And you've seen that with I guess her ticket sales for her concerts didn't do all that well because people are starting to realize that maybe she isn't that great of a person. And if you're a Jennifer Lopez fan and you don't like what I had to say there, I'm sorry, but it's just look it up. If you met her, she probably wouldn't be that nice to you either, unless there was a camera on and she's gonna snap a selfie and then tell you to F off. I have no interest in anything to do with Jennifer Lopez. So unfortunately, Brett Goldstein, I'm out. Like Mark Cuban, I'm out.
Every once in a while, John will surprise me on a podcast, and I will learn something about him that he either very much likes or deeply despises. And tonight was the night, or today is the day, that Jennifer Lopez is on that list. And I had no idea that you didn't like her.
I mean, don't most people know by now that she's not that nice of a person?
You're allowed to not like whoever you don't want to like.
Oh.
I'm not criticizing you. I'm just saying it makes me laugh when you get into these tangents of how much you don't like something or you like it. I'm just going to say that I agree in the sense that like Jennifer Lopez isn't someone that I'm going to watch a movie for. In her rom-coms, I watched them because they were rom-coms, but with like The Wedding Planner, the person that shines in that movie is Matthew McConaughey. He is like the king of the rom-com, and I wish we got more of him. Brett Goldstein is also someone that's like just so likable. And I can't help but wonder that if Jennifer Lopez is in this movie because Netflix kind of demanded it, or something happened where she's financing it, or like how is she in this movie? Because if this billing was Jennifer Lawrence and Brett Goldstein, that's a whole nother movie.
I'm in.
Still Jennifer, just a different Jennifer.
Yeah.
If it was Jennifer Garner and Brett Goldstein, also a different Jennifer.
Jennifer
Um,
Aniston.
Yeah, any of the other Jennifers. I'm just very surprised he's going with this. I don't know what the angle is exactly. Again, it might end up being like a proposal type situation. Or like maybe warring bosses or something, but then that's kind of like set it up with Glenn Powell. So I don't know. We'll see, I guess, what happens. But
I'm gonna guess that
I'm
they
gonna be
work
watching it.
they work for a publication because every rom-com, like Hollywood doesn't know professions. Everyone is a reporter or they write for a magazine. Like if Hollywood makes a movie that takes place in New York, it is at some sort of magazine or
Ad
outlet or
agency.
newspaper. Like everyone is a writer and they're a columnist or something. Like there's other jobs,
Because
Hollywood, so you know.
yeah, because those jobs have loose hours that people can work around. Like if they're a reporter, they don't have to be at a desk. Two, there's usually big projects that they're working on that mean promotions. And that's what always ties back to like, oh, well, if I do this thing, I get a promotion. And then they're warring with the idea of like, do I want the promotion or do I want to hurt this person's feelings? Do I love this person it's career over love is kind of what the whole thing is. But back to questionable studio choices from Jennifer Lawrence to this next story, which is Lionsgate has inked a deal with an AI firm to mine its massive film and TV library. The deal will see Runway train a new AI model on Lionsgate's film and TV library as the entertainment company uses the tech to, quote, develop cutting edge, capital efficient content creation opportunities. This is being reported by The Hollywood Reporter. They said in a significant move, Lionsgate and the video-focused artificial intelligence research firm Runway have inked a deal that will see Runway train a new generative AI model on Lionsgate content. Now, a lot of people are not happy about this, which is understandable. Last year, when they penned the deal, SAG and the writers penned a deal with these studios. One of the big things that they kept getting hung up on was AI, and they kept trying to protect themselves from AI. You can't use AI on projects. You can't do this. You can't do that. Basically, the deal got pushed through at the end of the strike. The deal got pushed through because they gave up some of their pushback on AI. And now, a year later, they're seeing the repercussions of that pushback. Now, we've seen studios like Netflix, Disney already scanning actors at shoots and at auditions that they're going to use later in perpetuity and stuff. It's insane to me. But John, what are your thoughts on AI and what this deal could mean for, creative work for movies, TV, etc.? Because I know my initial reaction is that this is terrible. And my second reaction is, why does AI continually be used for creative outlets and not for like business? I don't see AI training anybody to be a CEO. I don't see AI training anybody to take over like some type of business analyst role. It's always these creative roles that like images, video, writing.
It's anti-art. Art is the creative expression of humanity,
Mm-hmm.
So I've gotten into like very passionate arguments about it because it's like, well, it's inevitable and stuff. It's like, yeah, so's death. And it's like,
yeah,
like AI, like, and when people say like, oh, look at this dumb AI thing, it's like, yeah, look at it now. 10 years ago it didn't exist. So what do you think it's going to be like in 10 years? And then 10 years from that? Like, I am terrified of AI. I'm talking like when AI starts getting used by the military and like
It's
gonna,
already used by the military.
it's going to be just it's going to get scarier and scarier. And I don't like the counter argument of, well, you can't stop it. And it's like, well, I get that because humans are I guess we're designed to kill ourselves. We're designed to be self-destructive. And we're going to wipe ourselves out long before climate change does. The earth will heal itself. It's just this stuff is dangerous. And if we're going to isolate it to just talking about, movies and stuff for the sake of the podcast, that's healthier for me because I think Terminator is going to happen one day, and hopefully me, my kids, and their kids aren't around for it. But I saw like Mark Zuckerberg. It was on Instagram, and he was doing an interview with somebody via his avatar. So he's sitting there in one screen with the headset on, sitting back like this, and his avatar, who looks just like him, is talking to a guy via the screen. And I'm just like, this is literally erasure of yourself. It's like, at what point does it go so far that we don't exist anymore, and it's like the Matrix, where we're going to be laying in a pod somewhere, and a digital version of ourselves is going to be living our life. And I know that sounds melodramatic, but this is just the start of this stuff. Like, at what point do we lose ourselves entirely? And I get when people use de-aging and that sort of stuff in these movies to bring younger actors back. And we've seen CG creations of actors, Mark Hamill with the deep fake, and Tarkin in Rogue One with Star Wars. Obviously, we're big Star Wars fans with TRB. But I don't know if I want to see a new Indiana Jones movie in 20 years with an AI Harrison Ford. Like, are we just going to replace actors? Like, and I know that's not what this is necessarily saying, but there's a reason why SAG just hooked up with the governor of California to pass a law to protect them from this stuff. The fact that a governor of a state needs to get involved with the creative arts is showing how serious this is. And I kind of wish, I don't want to get political, but I wish one of the bigger topics of the debates was about regulating AI and the future of AI and that sort of thing, because I do think it is something that is going to change things for us and might escalate beyond our reach. And at one point, does it get to the point where we can't control it anymore? And it sounds crazy that I'm saying this now, but if everything does escalate as it always does and gets bigger and more evolved, where is the end game on that? So anything with AI, call me old school, call me out of touch with the times, that's fine. I think art is a human thing. And when you start using AI to make songs, and like this AI wrote a Metallica song, it's like, no, they effing didn't. And it bothers me as someone who has an artistic brain, and creativity brings me joy, makes me feel better, heals me. Seeing other people's expression. I like watching bands and seeing them play live and seeing them mess up a note. I like the organic element of a human being doing something and showing it to me. And AI is erasing that. I mean, if they're using it like Ashton Kutcher was saying, like, oh, I love it. I can just make a scene now in the background. I don't have to hire this. I don't have to do that. It's like, yeah, dude, you also defended a rapist. It's like, I don't need to hear you saying I don't need to hire somebody. We hire artists for our small little podcasts. It's like, you're essentially saying, for the sake of saving dollars for your studio, you want to kill art. And AI is not art. It may look like art, it may replicate art, but art is a human thing. It is organic to what we are, and it is our expressive self. And it's something that we create from inside our minds that we put into a tangible thing for people to experience, hear, see, smell, whatever. I've been ranting for a long time, but this stuff really does bother me. Not to get too serious, but
it can definitely get dangerous, from people using AI to do scam calls and making images that aren't truthful, and spreading fake stories and misinformation.
Oh.
It's it's caused a lot of issues. For me, with this story in particular, it sucks for the people that worked on the things that they're training this with, because those people aren't benefiting from anything. They're not getting the money. This company is paying Lionsgate to have access to all their content. Who knows how much they're paying them, by the way. This deal is Lionsgate looking to make some money. So they're selling out all their stuff to this company, being like, whatever. Look at what we did. Look at, because I have people in my day job that go like, oh, let's use AI for this. And I'm like, that makes no sense. Why would you do that? And it's to put on the end of the year report that they used AI, that they're ahead of the times. But I feel bad for all the people that they're taking their movies, their TV shows, any type of content that they made, photos, scripts, whatever, and then they're feeding it into this machine without their approval because Lionsgate technically owns it. It really sucks. But let's get into some cool stuff because there were some good trailers this week.
Oh God, I love that movie.
All right, first trailer up this week, Squid Game Season 2 teaser. Now, if you really want to get our full take on this, we did a full reaction to it when it came out last Thursday. About an hour after it came out, we were recording our normal podcast, and we were like, we got to watch this thing. So check out on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@TRB podcasts. Watch our watching of the teaser because it was our first time watching it. We ended up watching it a second time and to get our organic thoughts on what we think. We're both obviously super hyped on it, right?
This is the thing I'm waiting for the most this season, this year.
Yeah, it looks really good. I think you and I didn't need to be sold on it, but it was good to see because it looks bigger, better, all the stuff we said in our video. So they should go check that out, right?
Yes, they absolutely should. And I haven't figured out what we're gonna do to cover it yet. I'm not even kidding. I was like, maybe we should do a separate show just for Squid Game.
Maybe.
But this show is the thing that I've been looking forward to the most. There's been a few things that I've been looking forward to. It's Skeleton Crew, Emily in Paris, and Squid Game. And Emily in Paris was great. Skeleton Crew isn't here yet. Skeleton Crew actually comes right before this, so it's going to be a busy month.
2 weeks before, yeah. Yep,
Yeah.
it is. I'm looking forward to it. A lot of fun stuff to watch.
Mhm.
The Office is back, but via Australia. New trailer came out for this Amazon Prime series coming out on October 18th. It debuts, but it is a new take on The Office, but Australian. Lacey, did you watch this trailer? I know you're a huge fan of The Office, obviously a big Michael Scott diehard. What did you think of the Australian spin on The Office via at least this trailer?
So I know we were talking earlier about Harry Potter and doing remakes and how like I feel weird about it. This is the same thing. I feel weird about it because The Office just came to an end not too long ago and they're already remaking it. I know it's supposed to be a different take on it, but to me it looks exactly the same. And I understand how ridiculous I'm sounding because the US one came from the UK one.
Right.
So it's like you can't be that annoyed but it's just something like it's a personal thing when you're watching a TV show or a movie or reading a book or reading a comic, especially when it's become such like an important part of your life. Where I watch The Office all the time. Like I know all the jokes, all the moments. I care for these characters. So when I see a show like this, that just feels kind of, I don't know, not great for me just because I feel like they're just copying what the US one did, which I understand is also copying what the UK one did. I probably won't be watching this. It seems wrong to me. And I know that they're working on a spin-off version here in the US at a newspaper office, which is kind of funny given the times. It's probably going to be really funny that like you have a newspaper place that's like up against digital, which is really funny. Which stars what's his name? Hux. Commander Hux.
Oh, Donald Gleason.
Yeah, he's going to be the boss from my understanding. I would prefer more spin-offs within the Office universe of different offices, but this one looks like a complete redo. Like they have the Jim and Pam, they
Yeah.
have Dwight, which is Lillian or something, which is a girl literally in the same suit as Dwight.
Yeah.
It's just it was a little weird.
They were trying to do a Dwight spinoff and it didn't do like the episode of The Office that took place there wasn't received well, so they canceled that whole plan. It was supposed to be the
Mhm.
farm, remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, by the way, I can't believe that it wasn't that long ago, but The Office ended 10 years ago.
I know.
I feel the same way as you. This does feel like it is a full retread of the U.S. Office. And you're right on. The irony of that The Office was a retelling or reimagining of the UK version. But I think where the US Office went different from the David Brent character is that David Brent was never had this like hurt or this heart. Like Michael Scott had all these issues from his youth, which made him to be the way he was. He was afraid of being alone. He didn't have any friends. Like they didn't go that deep with David Brent. He was just sort of kind of like this aloof doofus jerk, you know?
He had more depth, Michael Scott, so that by the
Yeah,
end you were so in love with him
you
that
liked
you were
him.
like
Yeah.
you were like, yeah, he's such a moron, but
Where Ricky
man,
Gervais
do
was like,
I
I
love
don't
this
want you
guy.
to like David. I don't want you to like my guy. Yeah.
Like I can't express enough how hard I sobbed the episode that Michael left for the airport.
oh, I
When
know.
Pam runs off
Yeah.
and he takes the microphone off and he tried to like leave without saying goodbye.
Yeah.
I was sobbing
The Jim
that
Michael
episode.
moment for me.
And then that episode got ruined when he came back for the stupid wedding at the end.
Well, I've told you this. When I rewatched The Office, that's the series finale.
That's when it should have ended.
Yeah.
They got a little greedy with the money there.
A little. Well, it was growing. Even like Brian Baumgartner, the guy who plays Kevin, was saying like once we got to Netflix, it really started blowing up, and like Steve leaves, and then they're like, you're not stopping, and we're like, okay.
Well, of course, I'm not going to blame the actor if you keep
Yeah.
going. But
No,
they should
of
have
course,
ended it
no, I
with
know.
Steve.
But this, I may check out the first episode, and also I gotta be fair. I have never been to Australia. I don't know a lot of Australian people very well. Maybe this is a type of humor that is different from mine, but this feels like they're trying to be like Michael Scott, and it's just not as well
And
written.
Dwight.
Yeah, it's just not as well written, at least in the trailer. And you imagine they want to put bits in the trailer to make you laugh, draw you in. If that's the best, so we'll see. We'll see. And this last one here, obviously, very successful filmmaker Bong Joon-ho, who did the Best Picture winning Parasite, is back with Robert Pattinson, taking breaks between Batman to do Mickey 17. And just watch this trailer. Clearly a very like a black comedy, dark comedy. Comes out in January though, 2025, which is usually where people put movies that they're not expecting to do very well. Usually January is the dead zone. But we both watched the trailer on our own, and I know I laughed in a couple spots, and I heard you laugh in a couple spots. But what did you think of the trailer of Mickey 17?
This one caught me completely off guard. I had no idea what it was going into it. I even said to John off air, I was like, what is this? Ugh, what? Like, I even made like that noise. I was like kind of a bee about it. Anyway, I realized who was making it, and I loved Parasite. It was one of those movies that, again, had no idea what it was going in, heard amazing things about it. Then he won all those Oscars, but I saw it right before that. And it's stuck with me for a while. Parasite, like it got into my brain. It got it like I can't even.
Man.
When I turn the lights off in my basement, I have to quickly shut the door. Like it creeps me out. But yeah, this movie looks really interesting. Robert Pattinson plays a character where it's like future America, and he has this job position called an expendable. And the idea is that they take him up to space to do like space exploring, and they can clone him. So when he dies, they just reprint another one. So Mickey 17 he's up to number 17 of himself, And what happens is then he runs into himself. So there's multiples, which is like a bad thing. They're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
It has that kind. First of all, it's a stunning movie. It looks beautiful. Cinematography is
It
amazing.
does look big. Yeah.
It has Naomi Ackie from Rise of Skywalker. Love her.
Mhm.
As well as Mark Ruffalo and a couple other people that stand out. The thing that caught me off guard at first was Robert Pattinson's voice. He's doing a very particular, like, New York accent, like very
It's
interesting
strange.
voice.
Yeah.
It is strange coming from him. Two, I know that Bong Joon-ho has an interesting sense of humor and experiences and a completely different worldview and creative eye than anybody doing anything in America. So I'm interested just for that because he's going to tell a story that you never expected because he's coming from a completely different world than we are. And I
Yeah.
love what in the Oscar when he won his Oscar, he had made a big case on subtitles and said, like, you're closing yourself off from a whole other world just by not reading subtitles. And I couldn't agree more. So I'm going to see this just to support him, but also because it looks really good.
Yeah. I came across this just looking for trailers, so I haven't heard much buzz about this yet. But like you were saying, it comes with a pedigree with Bong Joon-ho, and also Stephen Yoon's in it.
Mhm.
Glenn from The Walking Dead, Toni Collette. She was. I remember how great she was in The Sixth Sense as the
Mhm.
boy's mom.
Right.
Great cast. The one part that made me laugh the most in the trailer was when they're about to dump his body in the incinerator. And they're like, "Wait, he's not dead," and he goes, "It's okay."
Oh yeah.
Like that should be a meme for, like, working 9 to 5 and your boss tells you
It's
something like,
fine.
"Yeah, just dump me in the fire." That made me laugh. He just goes, "It's okay. Just fucking kill me." Excuse my language.
Oh my god, John. Dropping the F bombs.
It's past the hour mark. So we'll see.
Yeah.
No, but this is interesting. I don't know if I'm getting to the theaters in late January to check this one out, but I will absolutely watch this movie.
Excellent. Do you want to get into our next segment?
Let's hear from the people, the fellow nerds out there in the nerd word.
Well, I have a microphone and you don't.
So you will listen to every damn word I have to say!
Hey guys, it's time again for the nerd word. So this is your chance to be a part of the show. And it's where we ask you a question related to movies, TV, pop culture. You give us your answers. We read them on the show and we discuss them a little bit. But this past week, we asked you, who is on your Mount Rushmore of greatest TV characters? 4 characters. Who you got? So I know for a fact behind the scenes that John has been obsessed with this Mount Rushmore thing. He's been all about it for like ever. All about the
Everyone
Mount
uses
Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore. Everyone.
It's fine. I'm just saying. I've heard you say
Especially
it
sports.
multiple times. So, do you want to say yours at the end, John, or do you want to get into theirs? Like, do you want to say yours first, or do you want to get into theirs first?
Oh yeah, I did do one, didn't I?
Let's get into theirs first, and we'll do ours at the end.
All right.
So first up is Kate at Kate Escapes. What up, Kate? She said
Kate.
possibly the hardest question I've ever had to answer.
Wow. All right.
1, Polly Gray, Peaky Blinders. 2, Jackie Payton, Nurse Jackie. 3, Dwight Schrute, The Office. 4, Adina Monsoon from Ab Fab.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Absolutely Fabulous.
Oh, okay.
That is a good show. Great choices. Next is Chad at Chad Creechton. What up, Chad? He said Kermit the Frog, Homer Simpson, Mr. Spock, Bugs Bunny.
I think it's
Those are
Crichton, isn't it?
Crichton.
Like Michael Crichton.
Oh yeah, that's a great last name. Great choices.
Way to get your handle, Chad.
Iconic choices here. Shannon Moran at Shenanigan. What up, Shannon? She said, oh boy, Olivia Benson, Dexter Morgan, Riker from Star Trek, TNG, and Goliath from Gargoyles. Parenthesis, I know it's quite a mix. Haha.
Dexter Morgan's that's a good one.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't watch the Next Generation of Star Trek. Actually, I didn't watch much Star Trek.
I've never really watched Star Trek.
But those, I remember Gargoyles. My brother loved Gargoyles, and Goliath was a big character. Nice picks. I like seeing that.
Mm-hmm. Next is Haas. What up, Haas? At Haas_Aslam. He says 1, Derek Trotter, parenthesis, Only Fools and Horses, a legendary British comedy show, and it's tragic that you USAers don't know who he is, parenthesis. 2, Walter White, Breaking Bad. 3, Tyrion Lannister. Is it Tyrion or
Tyrion?
Tyrion. I don't watch this show. Lannister, parenthesis, Game of Thrones. And 4, June Osborne from The Handmaid's Tale. I've heard wonderful things about Handmaid's Tale, but I'm terrified to watch it. Awesome choices. Next is More 5150 at More 5150, who said, "What's up? How's it going?" Said Kermit the Frog, Tony Soprano, Johnny Carson. I don't know if he counts as a TV character, but he's so influential. And Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones.
Good job pronouncing that one.
Was that right?
I think so. Do you say Targaryen?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you're good.
Look at me.
Yeah. Now go back and do Tyrion.
Tyrion Lancaster. Or no, Lannister. Lancaster is a location of Pennsylvania. Doug Brooks at Desert Vole is up. What up, Doug? He said Archie Bunker, Lucy Ricardo, Homer Simpson, Jimmy McGill.
I mean, Lucy is a classic for sure. Homer's popped up the most, I think.
Homer has.
Archie Bunker's a good one too. And is Jimmy McGill, is that Better Call Saul? Is that Jimmy McGill?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
All right.
And last but not least on this list, at least, is Mike Levins at MLevin75. What up on Blue Sky? What?
What's up, Mike?
He said Michael Knight, parenthesis, Knight Rider, David Rose, Schitt's Creek, Daenerys Targaryen, parenthesis, Game of Thrones, and then Rose Nyland from The Golden Girls. Ooh, good choices. All right, John, what are yours?
What are mine?
What are your 4 Mount Rushmore best TV characters?
Cosmo Kramer,
Michael
Scott, Homer Simpson, and Tony Soprano.
All right. I'm going to say, I feel like I haven't had enough time to think about this, so I'm going off of like top of mind right now. Definitely Michael Scott. Probably George Costanza. He's like one of the funniest characters ever. Oh my gosh, this is so difficult. I'm trying to think of like what TV shows I watch on a regular basis. Like I keep going back to. Oh, I don't know. Probably, honestly, Sylvie from Emily in Paris. She's like such a great character. She's like kind of like the evil boss that's super French. And she just has so much depth and she's fashionable and wonderful. And oh my gosh, I can't think of anything that probably Kermit the Frog.
Oh, Kermit. There you go.
Kermit the Frog is like pretty legit for me.
Oh, he's a legendary character.
Yeah, a very big basis of my childhood and who I am today. That's probably going to change by the next time I put this online because I'm sure I haven't thought of someone. But thank you guys so much for being a part of the show. We really appreciate it. If you want to be on the next episode, make sure to follow us on social media at Nerdy and Nice Pod on all the platforms: Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Facebook, and TikTok. And then, of course, you can follow us on YouTube, TRB Podcasts, where we have this show and Resistance Broadcast. So make sure to follow us there.
Yes. Let's see, before we get out of here,
yeah,
I'm caught up on Only Murders. Are you?
I am.
I finally had my first
So,
Uh,
okay, first of all, if you watch Only Murders in the Building and you haven't watched the latest episode, which is episode 3, it's been nice speaking to you today. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
This is your time to jump. Go ahead,
Yeah, if
John.
you haven't watched Only Murders. So the Paul Rudd as the stunt double thing pissed me off.
I knew that was going to piss you off. I was going to say that or the Molly Shannon thing at the end.
It's just, I was like, what? He's him, but he's playing his stunt double, and he's got this like really patchy Irish accent. It's almost like he watched Colin Farrell movies to prepare. That really bothered. That almost took me out. That bothered me. That was the stuff I was talking about with the jumping the shark stuff, because they did it in The Prestige, which is one of my favorite movies, but they made Hugh Jackman look like a different person.
Hmm.
And that doesn't give anything away from
They
The
didn't even
Prestige.
try here. They just
There's
put it
oh
out
here
on him.
here's Paul. By the way, and can Paul Rudd look different in something? Like the dude shows up with his same $500 haircut with the same color hair dye, because we know damn well he dyes his hair. And he just rolls up as Paul Rudd because people love him so much. He just has to be Paul Rudd. And he just rolls up here stumbling, and he's got a tooth missing, and all of a sudden he starts with his Irish accent. And my thought was, oh, he didn't die? And
That's
he's
what
like,
I thought, yeah.
he's like, nope, I'm a stunt double. I'm like, what? That bothered me. I'm still sticking with it. I'm still in. I'm fully in. I got to go find out how this ends. But I'm a little worried now.
That was weird. That was definitely weird.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm still liking it. I love Selena. I love Martin Short, Steve Martin. I could just watch them and their little quick, fast quips and like things that they don't beat you over the head to understand the joke. You either get it or you didn't. I love all that. I'll stay for all that forever. This stuff, I'm like, oh. But anyway.
I might actually go back and change my characters. I might change Sylvie for Blair Waldorf on Gossip Girl. Love Gossip Girl.
Oh, is that Blake
Leighton
Lively's
Meester?
character?
No. Blake
Oh.
Lively is Serena Vanderwoodson.
All right. Well,
not as good.
Right. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching Nerdy and Nice. Please spread the word. Obviously, if you're listening this deep into the podcast, you've watched all of Only Murders in the Building, and 2, you really like us because we're at the hour and 20 mark-ish. And
for our 20th episode.
For our 20th episode, and that means you really do love us, and we love you for that. So thank you. But spread the word. Tell your friends. Do you have friends who love TV, movies, and all the stuff we talked about? Just let them know. Just say, hey, check out this podcast. They're really great people. They're not like Jennifer Lopez. They're really funny. Check them out. Look up Nerdy and Nice. It's free on your podcast app, on the YouTube channel. Please help us spread the word. We're trying to grow Nerdy and Nice. Thank you very, very much.
I hope the Lopez stands don't find us.
I hope they do. Let's burn it down. I was just about to make a joke that I shouldn't say, but I want to say it, but I'm not gonna. All right. Thank you to our patrons at patreon.com/TRB podcast. Tiers start at $5. If you like what we're doing over here, we're doing exclusive stuff for Nerdy and Nice. We're planning behind the scenes for future stuff for this podcast specifically, and of course the Resistance broadcast. But a special shout out to the Movie Star Generals and the Silver Screen Spice Runners: Carmelo, John Reese, Jenna Rosewater, Frank Grande, Nick Kratz, Chris Morales, Brian Smith, Benny, Mike Ramori, Brendan McLaughlin, Sneaky Zebra, Dave Hornack, Jolton Jedi DiMaggio, Colin Cormier, and Stephen Garrow, and the Spice Runners: David Probus, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gellner, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, and the Fort Worthian. Thank you all so much. We will be back next Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we'll be back next Monday for another episode of Nerdy and Nice. Star Wars fans, we'll see you Thursday night for TRB Live. And we just hope we put a smile on your face to kick off your week, because we know Mondays can sometimes be a drag, but Mondays are also for the nerds. And we're here to have a good time with you guys. So keep spreading the word and keep enjoying what we're putting out, and we appreciate it. So until next time from us here at Nerdy and Nice, we'll see you around, kids.